Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a silent threat that lurks in many of the world's most innovative companies. A problem that can dismantle projects and even cripple entire businesses from the inside out. We all know that an organization's most valuable asset is its people. But what happens when one person becomes so critical, so knowledgeable, that their sudden absence could spell absolute disaster? In the fast-paced, ever-evolving world of technology, this scenario is all too common. It's a concept known as key person risk, but it has a much more illustrative and frankly morbid name: the bus factor. The bus factor forces you to ask a simple, brutal question: how many people on your team would need to be hit by a bus before the project is in serious trouble? If your answer is 1, you are living on borrowed time. Let's paint a picture. Imagine a senior developer, we'll call her Jane. She's been with the company for a decade. She has an almost supernatural, encyclopedic knowledge of the company's flagship product. When a critical system goes down at 3 a.m. on a Saturday, she's the one who gets the call, because she's the only one who can decipher the cryptic error logs of a system she herself built 5 years ago. There's a particular legacy module, a tangled mess of old code that powers a crucial part of the business, and everyone else is terrified to touch it. But Jane navigates it with ease. Jane is, for all intents and purposes, indispensable. And while her manager might praise her as a rock star or a 10x developer, this situation is a ticking time bomb for the organization. This extreme reliance creates a single point of failure, a critical vulnerability that can bring everything to a screeching halt. And let's be clear, it's not just about a literal, tragic bus accident. The key person might win the lottery and decide to retire to a private island. They could get a life-changing job offer from a competitor. They could need to go on extended parental or medical leave. Or, most commonly, they could simply burn out from the immense, unrelenting pressure of being the go-to person for every single fire drill. When that person leaves, whatever the reason, the consequences can be catastrophic. Projects are delayed indefinitely, crucial deadlines are blown, and the quality of the product plummets as the remaining team members, now adrift, struggle to pick up the pieces. The loss of that undocumented, institutional knowledge is immense and can set a company back years. So how do you spot this risk before it's too late? A key person isn't always the most senior employee or the one with the fanciest title. They are the individuals who hold critical, often unwritten, knowledge about a system, a process, or a particular area of the code base. They are the human single point of failure, the linchpin holding a vital part of the operation together. Identifying them is the crucial first step. Here are the telltale signs to look for. First, the go-to person. When a specific system has a problem, is there one person whose name is immediately on everyone's lips? When that person is on vacation, do tasks related to their area just pile up, waiting for their return? That's a classic indicator of a knowledge silo. Second, the lone wolf. Do you have a developer who consistently works on a specific module or component of the application, with little to no collaboration? They might prefer to work alone, or the work might be so specialized that no one else is assigned to it. Either way, this isolation is a recipe for creating a single point of failure. Third, the legacy code whisperer. This is one of the most common and dangerous forms. Is there someone who is the only one who understands and can maintain a critical piece of old, brittle code? The rest of the team treats that part of the system like a haunted house, but this one person knows all its ghosts. Fourth, the unquestioned authority. In meetings, does one person's opinion on a particular technical matter always go unchallenged? They may indeed be brilliant, but this dynamic can stifle healthy debate, prevent others from asking dumb questions, and stop the rest of the team from gaining a deeper understanding. Fifth, the keeper of the keys. Does a single individual hold all the passwords, production access keys, or other critical information necessary to deploy or maintain a system. If that person is unreachable, you might be completely locked out of your own infrastructure. This is a massive operational risk. And finally, watch out for the overworked hero. Is one person consistently working late, skipping lunches, taking on the most difficult tasks, and rarely using their vacation days? While their dedication may seem admirable, it's a giant red flag that the team is dangerously reliant on them, and that the workload is not properly distributed. The existence of these individuals is almost always a symptom of deeper organizational issues. It often points to a culture that rewards individual heroism over sustainable teamwork, a lack of investment in proper documentation and knowledge sharing, and a complete failure to plan for succession. When a key person eventually departs, it triggers a domino effect of negative consequences that ripple far beyond the immediate technical challenges. Let's break down this cascading failure. First, we have the project and technical consequences. This is the most immediate and obvious impact. Without the key person's unique knowledge, the remaining team may be completely unable to fix critical bugs. A problem that would have taken the key person an hour to solve might now take a team of 3 developers a week of frantic, stressful investigation. This means prolonged outages and very dissatisfied customers. The development of new features can grind to a halt, or even be abandoned if the key person was the only one with the architectural knowledge to build upon the existing system. The codebase itself can quickly become a no-go zone. Developers become afraid to make changes for fear of breaking something they don't understand, leading to a paralysis that accumulates technical debt at an alarming rate. Even simple, routine tasks like deploying changes or bug fixes can become impossible if the key person was the only one who knew the arcane, undocumented deployment process. Next, these technical problems inevitably translate into serious financial and business consequences. Project delays and cancellations lead directly to lost revenue and significant damage to the company's reputation. The cost of hiring and onboarding a replacement can be astronomical, especially for highly specialized roles. But that's just the start. The time and resources spent by the rest of the team trying to reverse engineer the lost knowledge and fix the ensuing problems can be even more substantial. If the key person was responsible for a critical innovation or a unique piece of technology, their departure can completely erode the company's competitive edge. For startups and smaller companies, the loss of a key founder or a critical early developer can be a major red flag for investors, potentially jeopardizing funding rounds and the company's entire future. But perhaps the most insidious and often overlooked consequences of key person risk are the psychological and cultural impacts on the team left behind. The departure of an indispensable coder can leave a void that poisons the work environment. The remaining team members are suddenly left feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and deeply anxious about the future. This causes a significant drop in morale and motivation, as they struggle to cope with the increased workload and the suffocating uncertainty. Burnout rates skyrocket as the remaining developers are forced to work longer hours and take on responsibilities they aren't prepared for. A culture of fear can take root. The fear of breaking something you don't understand can paralyze a team, stifling innovation, creativity, and risk-taking. Then there's the survivor syndrome. The departure of a key person can lead the remaining team members to question their own job security and wonder if they are next on the chopping block. This can lead to a further exodus of talent, creating a vicious cycle of attrition that is incredibly difficult to stop. And finally, it's crucial to consider the psychological impact on the indispensable coder themselves. The constant pressure of being the sole source of truth, the one person who can't get sick or take a real vacation, is incredibly stressful and isolating. They may feel trapped in their role, resentful of the burden, and ultimately this pressure is often what drives them to leave, ironically exacerbating the very risk they represent. The good news in all of this is that key person risk is not an insurmountable problem. With a proactive and multi-pronged approach, organizations can significantly reduce their reliance on any single developer and build more resilient, adaptable, and ultimately more effective teams. The goal is not to devalue the contributions of talented individuals, but rather to create a system where knowledge is shared and responsibility is distributed. Here are the most effective strategies for mitigating key person risk. First, and most fundamentally, you must foster a culture of knowledge sharing. This means moving away from a model that celebrates individual heroism and towards one of collective ownership and collaboration. A key practice here is collective code ownership. This agile principle dictates that the entire team shares responsibility for the entire codebase. No single person owns a particular module or component. This encourages everyone to understand the whole system and empowers them to make changes and improvements wherever they are needed. This has to be supported by encouraging open communication. You must create an environment where developers feel psychologically safe to ask questions, to admit when they don't know something, and to share their knowledge with others without fear of judgment. Managers and senior developers have to lead by example. They should be open about their own knowledge gaps, actively seek input from others, and publicly celebrate instances of knowledge sharing and collaboration. The second major strategy is implementing robust documentation practices. Documentation is often the bane of a developer's existence, but it is one of the most powerful tools for combating key person risk. Good documentation ensures that knowledge is not locked away in a single person's head, but is accessible to everyone on the team, now and in the future. Best practices include making documentation an integral part of the workflow, not an afterthought. Allocate time for it in every project plan. Keep it concise, clear, and user-focused. Write for your audience, whether it's a new developer needing an architectural overview or an operations engineer needing a runbook for handling an outage. Use a variety of formats beyond just text. Use diagrams, flowcharts, and other visual aids to explain complex concepts. Video tutorials can be a great way to demonstrate a process. Most importantly, documentation must be kept up to date. Out-of-date documentation is worse than no documentation at all. It erodes trust and can be dangerously misleading. Third, you must leverage the power of collaboration. By working together, developers can share knowledge organically, learn from each other, and build a collective, shared understanding of the system. A fantastic technique for this is pair programming. This involves two developers working together at a single workstation. One developer, the driver, writes the code, while the other, the navigator, reviews the code as it's being written, offering feedback and catching potential issues. This is an incredibly effective way to share deep knowledge, improve code quality, and immediately double your buzz factor on that piece of work. A related practice is mandatory code reviews. A formal review process ensures that at least one other person has seen and understood every single piece of code that is checked in. This not only helps to catch bugs and improve code quality, but it also serves as a constant, low-friction way to spread knowledge throughout the team. An even more intense form of collaboration is mob programming, an extension of pair programming where the entire team works together on a single task at the same time. While not practical for everything, it can be a powerful way to tackle extremely complex problems and ensure that everyone on the team has a deep understanding of the solution. Fourth, actively invest in cross-training and professional development. Cross-training is the process of teaching employees the skills and knowledge needed to perform tasks outside of their primary role. This is a powerful way to build a more flexible and resilient team, where multiple people can step in to fill a gap if a key person leaves. A simple way to do this is job rotation, which involves periodically rotating employees through different roles or projects. This gives them a broader understanding of the business and helps them develop new skills, preventing knowledge from becoming stale and concentrated. Establishing formal mentorship programs, pairing junior developers with more experienced mentors, is a fantastic way to transfer institutional knowledge and skills. It also provides a valuable support system for new developers and helps them to grow their careers within the company. Finally, the ultimate responsibility for mitigating key person risk lies with management. It is up to managers to create the culture and the systems that prevent the emergence of indispensable coders in the first place. This requires a shift from a reactive to a proactive mindset. Managers must proactively identify and address key person risk by regularly assessing their team for single points of failure. This can be done through skills mapping, dependency analysis, and just having open, honest conversations with the team about where the knowledge gaps are. They must promote a culture of psychological safety, where developers feel safe to fail, to ask questions, and to challenge the status quo. They need to invest in their team's growth, providing them with the time, budget, and resources they need to learn and develop new skills. They must plan for succession. And critically, they need to change what they reward. Don't just reward the individual hero who swoops in to save the day. Recognize and reward instances of teamwork, mentorship, great documentation, and collaboration. This sends a clear message about the behaviors that truly create a strong and resilient organization. The history of the tech industry is littered with cautionary tales of companies that failed to manage key person risk with devastating results. In the late 1970s, Atari was the undisputed king of the video game industry. However, the company's CEO, Ray Kassar, famously dismissed the contributions of his top programmers, telling them in a meeting that they were no more important than the people on the assembly line and that anyone could do their jobs. This insult led to the departure of 4 of their very best developers, who went on to form a new company you might have heard of, Activision. The loss of this key creative and technical talent was a major blow to Atari, and the company was never able to recover its former glory. A similar story played out years later at the game studio that created the highly successful Medal of Honor franchise. The team had created a massive hit, but when the owner refused to share the wealth or offer ownership stakes to his top programmers and designers, they felt undervalued and left en masse to form a new company. They couldn't take the Medal of Honor intellectual property with them, so they created a new franchise from scratch, Call of Duty. The original studio owner's failure to value and retain his key people literally cost him what would become one of the biggest billion-dollar franchises in entertainment history. More recently, the dramatic ousting and subsequent return of Sam Altman as CEO of OpenAI highlighted the risks of a company being too closely tied to a single, charismatic leader. When he was fired, the outcry from employees was immediate and overwhelming. Nearly the entire company signed a letter threatening to quit and follow him to a new venture at Microsoft. This demonstrated the immense leverage that a key person can have, and the catastrophic risk a company faces when its identity and stability are so intertwined with one individual. In the complex world of software development, the indispensable coder is a dangerous myth. While it's natural and good to have star performers and subject matter experts, no single individual should ever be so critical that their absence could bring a project or a company to its knees. By fostering a culture of genuine knowledge sharing, implementing robust documentation and collaboration practices, and consistently investing in the growth and development of the entire team, organizations can build resilient and adaptable teams. These teams are not just prepared for the unexpected, they are also more innovative, more engaged, and ultimately, far more successful. The goal is not to make anyone feel replaceable, but to make everyone feel empowered, supported, and part of a collective effort that is truly greater than the sum of its parts. By doing so, you're not just mitigating risk, you're building a healthier, stronger, and truly future-proof team. Thanks for listening to G Fun Facts Online.